Okay, it's Tuesday, August 1st. This is an end of the day SPY recap to start out the month. And today we end up with another very small little bar that technically is a 2 down bar from yesterday. But if you look at that big red bar that formed on Thursday and then gapped up immediately on Friday to kind of get you inside of a big choppy zone that didn't follow through yesterday to the upside, you kind of know you're in chop right now overall. And then once it gapped down today, which I'll show you in a minute, you can see the way these 3 bars now are just setting up a kind of an inside range between the purple lines inside this big red bar, and we got to get out of this one way or the other. So we need a breakout kind of opening price action in this range, either up or down, and then we have to see if it gets followed through to the extremes. If not, we can fail and come back through the range and work to the other extreme. But we're going to have to see how we get out of this bar, this big red bar. So today, after yesterday's close where we had the, right at the end of the day, a big green bar, you're kind of expecting follow to the upside, but price immediately gapped lower. Between the blue lines, was the range, it was the pre-market range, we're gapping down. So you're in conflict again. We're gapping down below the midpoint of the prior day. So that's kind of a bearish sign. But what the market does in between the blue lines, which is the pre-market range on the first bar, it goes up, it pauses, and then it gives you, what could be a buy signal here on bar 3, the inside bar breakout. All that's really doing is taking out this first bar high and then any little target that's nearby, and that's kind of where it went, and it immediately failed. So you're kind of in conflict knowing that the opening price action is giving you a buy signal, but it's in this choppy zone and it's below the midpoint of the prior day. If you took it here and bottom line is it comes back to the midpoint of that first bar, it's a small loss. If you're even going to consider going long, thinking that maybe after this, but look at what's happening. If you spread out the 15-minute chart, you kind of know you're in this zone and right in the middle of it. So you got to have immediate follow through to break out, and we're right in the middle of the range. So it's not even a day to really be considering trading the SPY, and that's kind of how the methodology, being above or below the midpoint of the prior day, knowing, if you have congestion forming, then you kind of have to judge that opening signal in that context. And anyway, so today, once you had the red bar follow up on bar number 3, to me, it was pretty clear you were going to take out the pre-market lows. That's kind of where it was targeting. It went down there, and what happened? It immediately came up. And again, it just ended up being complete chop all day long. Little green bar. So I don't really have any bias in terms of the day, what happens tomorrow, other than between the purple lines. Now these 3 days are forming. We got to see if we get some kind of opening price action that breaks out strongly. Any inside, price action that forms early in the session, if you want to take it, it will have to go immediately to try a breakout. If not, then we're just in choppy area. So, that's kind of what develops here in chop. We once had a whole choppy zone. I remember back in this zone here, and there was similar type of days. Eventually, you break out and you get good volatility. So now, for whatever reason, you can see here, even in these days, we're kind of limited. Then you had the big, broadening day here, and then you're just kind of going 3 days inside. So we start the month out slightly green. We're expecting a little monthly follow through to the upside. If I look at the monthly chart, even though we closed with a little bit of a selling tail, it's still a green bar. So at some point, we still have a target up there. We can still take out the highs of the previous month. We'll see if that unfolds, but we're in a choppy zone. So very tough to trade the actual indexes at the moment. If you were trading stocks, like for example, Netflix, yesterday I had a good buy. If somehow you were following that one, knowing that we still had a target in that 458 area, I think it was, or 448, something like that. You had a nice kind of opening bar here that went down, pause bar 2, and then you got the buy on bar 3, and that moved up nicely for a morning trade. And again, a lot of times when I take my morning trades, I take my profits, that's it. The secondary trade didn't work out. It immediately went up and then failed, and then the thing went, sideways all day. So that's why a lot of times I'm just looking for that morning first move. Netflix would have been a good one. Other stocks like Tesla went down from the start, so you wouldn't have been interested on that one to the long side. So anyway, not much to say other than this is a tricky zone to be trading the SPY, and you almost have to wait for further developments. And if you're going to take, opening price action, really has to get above the pre-market range for buys or below the pre-market range for sells. We opened right in the middle yesterday, and in addition to that, we now have a purple trading range that we have to get, either above or below to get this thing going again. And that's only going to see if we test, this high and that low of that big red bar, So any next move is going to have to really break through that. If not, we can get failure bars. And once we start going to either test it and break out or go and fail, I think we'll get some good price action developing. But until then, it's just inside price action here for 3 days. Daily chart is just what it is. We'll see if we open above the midpoint of this day tomorrow, what the pre-market range is, and what opening price action starts to lead us potentially out of this range. Or if not, then we're just going to have to, look for individual stocks as opposed to trading the indexes.